Hello, hello.
Bingo.
We are on Sunday. It's been 2 weeks this time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to be back though.
Yes,
Yeah.
It is nice to be back.
We used to do this every week, but we peeled back to once every 2 weeks. So what we have is twice as important as what it used to be.
And we peeled back by just as a reminder to for more self-care for ourselves, biting off too much. And we might get back at that place at some point. We'll see.
We'll see. For right now, once a week, that's fine. So welcome everybody. I'm Michael and this is
Tina.
Yes, and we are Better Yourself 365. We're a company that focuses on bettering your relationship and bettering your health. And today we are talking about something that is near and dear to our heart, our relationships with our kids. So it's really about bettering your relationship with your teenager. That's what we wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah, but you also see that what we're talking about today also applies to your relationship with your partners, actually.
Yeah, that's true, because some of the suggestions and strategies are transferable to pretty much any relationship. So we'll be talking about 10-15 minutes, and it's really a conversation between me and Tina about the topic, but we do have some ideas about how to kind of maneuver through a certain situation with your teens, which we'll call a power struggle. So how to negotiate through power struggles with your teens. And if anybody is a parent out there, we're talking to you, because if you have anybody who's over 12, then you've experienced what we experience sometimes, which is getting into power struggles with our teenage boys. And, through practice and some trials and tribulations, we've learned a few things to help us along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had one yet, you're lucky. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. Everybody was a teenager at one point, will be a teenager at one point. And so that was us. And we probably had some power struggles with our parents as well. And maybe not everybody here is young enough to remember what you were like when you were 14, but probably you were pretty similar in the way that your teenagers approach life. So we wanted to talk today about how to really manage that possible power struggle, actually how to even prevent it, and what to do just in case it does happen. And, essentially, we're going to talk about a few tips and strategies, and we also always have a personal example, and that's something that Tina's going to talk about.
Yeah, and if you have any comments you want to make along the way, you'll feel free to, we see the comments coming up, and hopefully you can relate to some of this. So let's just start by just asking you, why do you think that happens? That's such a common thing with parents and teenagers, that we get into these power struggles.
Yes, well, as a parent of two teens and as a former guidance counselor at the high school level, I certainly know that it's a developmental stage that all teenagers go through, where they're searching for autonomy, they're searching for their self, they're searching for what I would call some sovereignty on how to be their own person. And sometimes that involves making a decision that something's important to them and sticking to it, and really sticking to it. Sometimes it's saying no, sometimes it's saying yes.
Yeah.
But essentially they're in a developmental stage where they are starting to figure out what they want and what they don't want. And it doesn't always come out smooth when they let you know. Normally it doesn't.
Because they haven't learned that part yet, right? And sometimes even in adulthood we haven't learned how to effectively communicate our needs.
That's right. So it sometimes can come out as disrespect. And if we are not really tuned into that kind of bigger piece of their development, and they're developing prefrontal cortex in their brain, then we might get caught into this, I say yes and you're going to do it. And then before we know it, we have this thing going on. And really there's no winner that comes out of that, is there?
Yeah, and you're just talking about the perspective of what the child is going through, right? The teen developmentally is going through. But also as the parent, you also have your own sets of beliefs of how your teenager is supposed to talk to you. And you will get emotionally triggered, yourself, which is what happened to me in the example I'll be sharing. and that's, that's all part of it too. That's because otherwise it would not be a power struggle if the parent also didn't get triggered somehow.
That's right. That's the struggle part.
Because our belief around parents often is we need to have the control. We need to have, we need to be respected, and we need to
in this house, then you fill in all the rest of the blanks.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when we say my example of what happened,
so we have an example. Tina has a good one.
Yeah, and it happened pretty recently with all this COVID stuff with the school online. So maybe some of you here on the call can relate to how difficult it is to have the kids self-motivate, right? And get part of that routine with school and still do well under the really hard circumstances they have of doing this online.
It's been tough here in New Brunswick.
So context around the part where I lost my cool is that one of our sons had shared with me personally that he was struggling to stay motivated and do his homework, and I really was appreciative that he was sharing that with me, and we turned into then validating how hard it would be and how normal it would be. Probably most kids struggle with that, but what can we do to help you? Mm-hmm. So you had talked to him about it first, and on your own, and then,
we were driving somewhere. And it came
and then the next day I was left implementing it because I was working from home and the kids were home. So what I noticed was that there wasn't really a lot of buy-in from one of our sons around what we thought would be helpful, which one thing was to sit at the kitchen table instead of in his bedroom to do the work, so that we're, he's more involved around us and more kind of focused on getting things done if we're around. Mm-hmm. So when I came upstairs, he not only was he was at the kitchen table, but he was looking at a video game on his phone, and had no call, there was no call on his computer from school.
Video game university. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously, he was still struggling. So, which is normal. He had just started to try to implement a new thing. Mm-hmm. So initially, I was trying to just understand, what's going on right now. You don't have a class? No, I don't have a class. He wasn't even looking at me. He was just looking at his phone and his friggin' video game. And I tried a few things to try to get his attention. And when it wasn't working, my trigger was just wow, this is rude. You're being rude, felt disrespected. So I was triggered. And guess what I did?
Guess what she took? Not the banana.
No, his phone. Yeah. So I took away his phone, which is something I actually had not done in a long time. We've been trying to negotiate other ways of doing it, so it's not always consequence and punishment and taking away stuff. And as he's getting older, we're trying to figure out other ways. But I did it. I took away his phone, and I said to him, "You'll get this after the end of the day when you've shown us that you've been able to work on your school today." And so I left, and then he took his computer and left in his bedroom, deciding to be oppositional to the rule that we had implemented to do his homework at the kitchen table.
Or asserting his own developmental needs.
Yes. I was this is how I saw in the moment he's being oppositional, course, yes. Right? Because I was already triggered at this point, trying to regain control. Mm-hmm. So I should have stopped there, because just the minute that I try to regain control by taking away his phone, I'm already at that point in the power struggle.
Got sucked into it.
I was sucked in already. But when he left with the computer, I got sucked in emotionally even more. But in my mind, I thought I was calm enough to go and follow him. Yeah. So I did follow him in the bedroom, and then it escalated further, right? So it was more of him trying to regain some sense of control and me feeling like he's being oppositional, and I don't like it when he talks to me that way, which is not a very typical thing that he does. So I continued getting triggered to the point where, then he said something along the lines of, I'll do what I want when I want.
Ooh, that's not a good one.
And then I came back saying,
which we haven't heard.
Really?
Fortunately, we haven't heard that much in our house. But, the teenage brain says things like that.
Oh, yeah. And then my mommy brain said, you think, because I felt cornered, right? Because a sense of helplessness and my power is taken away. And I didn't like that he was talking to me like that. But yet I was too escalated to really do something
Yeah.
productive in the moment. So I just came back with my comment. I was right in the power struggle, came back with saying, I said something like, I can't remember
Did you
I
double
told you.
down?
I doubled down. I said, oh yeah? Well, maybe I'll do what I want then, and I won't drive you to your game tonight. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I knew I was in it, and I knew I shouldn't have said that, right? Because I really didn't mean that, but I wanted to show him that this
Who's the
wasn't,
boss?
yeah, I'm the boss. So as soon as the words came out of my mouth, then I just said, I'm obviously really angry right now, and so are you, so let's take a break and we'll talk about this when we're calm. And I left the room. That is the first step.
Yeah.
That's where it changed for me.
I think the first step was you noticed
I noticed, yeah.
that, yeah, this isn't going well. And then you verbalized, I got to go. Did you let him know you're coming back?
Yeah, we've talked about this when we're both calm.
Yeah, perfect.
But I didn't say when I was coming back. I just said kind of like, we need to both calm down here because this is not going anywhere. And I was angry when I said it because I was already in the power struggle. But still, I walked away, which is the first step. Now, hindsight, I should have walked away before I went into his bedroom because it escalated from there. I wasn't ready to go follow him in the bedroom.
No,
but it was still the first step.
But you
I
caught it. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like when it comes to power struggle, it doesn't matter that you get into power struggles with your teenagers. Of course it'll happen, just like you'll get into fight with your spouses.
That's right.
It's what you do with it afterwards that counts, because are you going to do something to maintain the relationship so there's no more ongoing damage, right? So that's the second thing I did is then I went to calm down. And initially I was still really angry. I called you and I vented your head off. And you were very validating, like, oh, this is so hard. It is hard. It's good to have somebody that can empathize with how hard it is to be a parent at times. And so you did that well. And then when I was talking to you, I started to cry too. And that's a good sign for me. And I don't know if it's like that for you guys, but when I cry, that means that I'm not angry when I cry, right? When I cry,
you're starting to soften.
Yeah, I'm starting to soften, and I'm starting to get in touch with how the crying was really about, oh, I hate it when it gets to this place. I don't want it to get to this place.
Yeah, right.
And so it's more of I love my child, and I want to prevent these things from happening. So it was more of like a place of sadness. How did it get here? I was just trying to help him.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't trying to punish him. I was just trying to help him, and it turned into this thing.
Yeah.
So calming and softening then helps me then go back to when we do talk again, which is the third thing you need to make sure you do, is you're starting from the heart. You're starting with the relationship first, not the, hey, you did this to me and you were being rude. And because if you go there, you're not from the heart as a parent saying, hey, I really feel bad about how this son developed. I never thought it would get there. I didn't want it to get there. So it happened to me, astonishingly, because we've been working hard with our sons at acknowledging, coming back, apologizing, things like that. Actually, my son came to me first this time. Usually I'm the one that goes in and it starts right away by apologizing and saying, I love you. This time he came to me, but I wasn't sure how he was coming to me. I wasn't surprised he came to me, on some level, because he needed his phone. Remember that really key piece of control I had over him at that point? But so I wasn't sure how he would come in, like if he would still be unapologetic and
or take some responsibility for his part.
No ownership or anything. I wasn't sure. So I started right away from the heart. So that's the third thing I did, was just like, I gave him a hug and I said, I love you. I'm sorry this went to this place. And he was already ready to say, I'm sorry too. And he owned up to how rude he had been to me and how he didn't mean that. So that was really big.
It's good.
And then we were able to just then go into just expressing. I asked him, of course I take the lead because I'm the parent in the relationship, but I just started to ask him more what happened for him, right? What was happening for him as I was talking to him and he wasn't listening to me, like he was looking at the phone, right? And he was just saying, I was finished my work. So he just gave me some more insight into what was in his head that I didn't know at the moment, right? I was finished my work. I didn't have any course in the moment. So then I said, oh, fair enough. Okay. I didn't realize that. So, but if you didn't have any homework for that course, you told me there's some works that you weren't able to do before, so I'm assuming you have things to catch up on. And then he admitted it because we were calm at this point, right?
Yeah.
And then he became part of the problem solving with me. I wasn't focused on how rude he was. He took ownership to a level of ownership that a teenager will give you. You know, it wasn't a perfect ownership, but it was something. And I didn't stick to that. I stuck more to trying to understand what happened in our power struggle. And so then we were able to say, like, I didn't want to push it further, a lot further, because I know with him that I have to keep it short and sweet. So I just said, okay, so this is what I'm expecting today. Does that fit with you? You know, I do want you to work on your other courses. He said, no, that makes sense. So it's good. And then I said, well, we'll talk more about this when Dad is here. So I left it there, and we were fine the rest of the day, right? It was just like, it was enough. It wasn't extensive, but it was enough repair. Gave him another hug before we finished, and we were fine the rest of the day. There was no attitude from him, no nothing, right?
Well, that's good. You handled it very well, honey.
Well, not initially.
No,
but that's okay.
But nobody's perfect, so we're bound to get into a cycle with our partner, with our kids, with someone at work. But that same process can be used again and again, which is, recognize what's going on, like the bigger picture, kind of
see yourself
looking down from an outside of yourself view and saying, oh, this is happening. And then you extricate yourself from the situations, and then so you can calm down.
Yep.
And that's what you did.
Very important.
You calmed down, deep breaths, I'm sure. You suggested that our son calm down too. And then you curled back. And you were softer, and you reconnected with them.
Yeah, connect first before you start
physically reconnected with soft words, letting them know that you love them. And then everybody's on a level playing field that's calm. And then people's brains open up. Speaking of brains, because we flip our lid, so we calm down. Our emotional brain isn't exposed as much, and then we can use some, compassion and some being present. And then you can problem solve that one out when everybody's calm.
Right.
And that's you did it very well. Perfect.
And sometimes it's okay, too, to not problem solve all of it in the moment. You can go back to finishing it up another time. Like, I think with teenagers, that's also very important.
Yes, keep it short and sweet. Yeah,
which we're not always good at.
But no, we do but we've gotten feedback from them, and I think that they probably know that it's better than you.
We keep learning. They see that we're trying, right? And that's very important for them. I think that's how the respect does increase with kids. As they see that you're trying and you're always trying to repair both places, because I took ownership too of saying something that I didn't mean. I didn't want it to get to that place of me threatening his sports, like that's not the parenting I want to do. So anyhow, hopefully this helped you.
Yeah.
At least it gave you something to think about. Maybe there's one piece in there that resonated with you. Leave us some comments, either if you're watching this now live or if you're reviewing the tape after. Reactions of what you take in with that and maybe how it parallels with you. That'd be great. We always love to hear from you. And we also encourage you to always take action yourself from all the lives that we do. One piece that you can do yourself. So in here, think about the last argument, maybe power struggle you might have gotten into with your own teenager. And think about maybe some of the 4 steps that we talked about and seeing if there's any area in that last argument that you think you could have done differently or what could have helped in that moment. And think about that particular piece, because probably the other steps maybe you're doing naturally, but maybe there's one step that you keep getting caught in. So think about that and how could you do that next time? And make sure to think about that when you do have another argument. Give yourself that space to go back to that and say, okay, I'm not going to do it as usual. I'm going to do it differently. What am I going to do differently?
That's good. Yeah. So be thoughtful about it, and maybe it's even something you actually want to go back and revisit with your teen. And
yes,
say,
that's
remember
true,
that time, that blah blah blah, and well, I wish I had have done it this way. I didn't really think about it, but now going back, think about it. So I want to kind of do like a and a repair of a previous issue.
And that's a great modeling that we're doing with our kids when we do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like going back. Yeah. So.
Nice to see everybody again.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, if you are not too familiar with us and you want to know more about the services that we offer to better your health, better your relationship, go visit our website at www.betteryourself365.com. And also, you'll see on the homepage, too, that you can actually subscribe to our newsletter, because we also do emails that we send out every couple of weeks as well, where it's on a topic of parenting or better your relationship with your partner or even better your health. So join us there.
Yeah.
It would be great to continue connecting.
Sounds good. So we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. And if you do have teenagers, back to school tomorrow. So that'll be great for parents too, not just the teens. Okay, folks.
All right.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
See you.